Oh, my homies. What a good day. What a good comeback. I'm telling you, just giving myself that brief period of time, which, by the way, I'm still in that period of just kind of letting go, relearning how to get used to these heavier weights again, taking my time, really prioritizing the technique and my core strength and my low back strength throughout all of this, my lockouts, everything has been so good to me. It's been so good. Don't get me wrong, no PRs. That's not going to happen. I told you the first month back, the first full cycle is going to be a little bit lighter than I've been doing in the past. That's how it's got to be. I'm not used to volume anymore. And I know everybody's going to be like, those sets of 2 are not that bad. And I'm like, I don't care. Because my standard before was hitting about 15,000 singles over the course of 6 months and then not doing any more volume than that. So I'm getting used to it again. That's just all it is. And I could not be happier with the progress that I'm making. You know, it's really become a sense of knowing how my body feels again. You know, like the snatch went really good. You know, I honestly, because I'm not going to rush this again. I'm going to take my time and really add the weight at my own pace, you know, because I could always add more later. That's always how it is. I don't care if you hit 50% of your max for a double. That's fine, because at least you can add more later comfortably according to the technique that you currently can do. Oh, man. And I was going to just stop at 205 if it felt bad. You know, let my low back and my shoulders and my elbows get used to the weights again. Let me tell you, I did not expect to easily throw 225 for a double today. That felt really endearing, you know? And it sets me up for the rest of the week to go to 205 on my light days, which is exactly where I want it to be. That's really good when it comes to calculating where my fatigue is going to be throughout the week. As well as increasing the strength progress slowly. And I've told you guys before, when I got into this style of training again, past couple weeks, I said I'm going to prioritize technique 100% and my physical wellness. And if I feel at 100%, I can whip that as hard as I want to. We got to at least give it an attempt to go up on the heavy days, specifically. The heavy days. Today was a heavy day. So I was like, I'm putting 235 on. I do not care. Because 225 looked and felt so good that I was like, gotta try it. And, you know, great attempts. I had 3 attempts under the barbell. Really good. But unfortunately, like I thought I'd be, I'm still limited by my shoulder. You know, the rear delt rotator cuff injury is healed, but not strengthened yet. You know, it's going to take more time than that to get used to it. So I got to relax a bit, you know, give it that time that it needs to do what it needs to when I put the heavier weight on at a later date, you know? And honestly, the only reason I got a little bit pissed off at the end of it was every single rep, I thought that I had it with 100% certainty, which is how it should be. You shouldn't be attempting a weight unless you really believe you can do it. And all of them were right almost where I wanted them to be. The first 2 were a bit lacking technically, you know, either like just catching it slightly forward, but they were right where I wanted them to be. It just wasn't, my shoulder just isn't strong enough yet to really hold it at the rate that I need it to. And that 3rd attempt was easily the best attempt of the night. But, you know, that left elbow bent. I don't know if you'll be able to see it since it's the further elbow in the video, but it bent. And I dropped it immediately. I was like, because it's so unfortunate, because when you start having immediate elbow bends, it's a sign that you could be at risk for hurting that joint. I'm not going to do that. So had to leave it be. But again, at the very least, the reps were so good, I practically hit a triple at, or it was more like one single attempt and then an attempt at a double at 235, because they were all near makes. You know, I'll take that as good effort. I just couldn't lock it out where I needed to. So honestly, again, it's just slightly bit more stability training in my shoulder along with my technique. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be golden, especially next week when I get to just throw some singles around and have fun again. Oh! It's really about like being able to, I'm relearning what it means to find out, you know? I always tell you guys, these programs are kind of based off a fuck around, find out mindset to the extent of you're meeting the prerequisites that satisfies what you have to do in order to go as hard as you want, as long as your body feels good, you know? You can let the ego go as wild as you want it to, but these couple steps need to be hit first when it comes to your physical wellness, your mental wellness, your stability, and your risk of injury, that type of stuff, along with your technique, core strength. There's a million things, but if everything feels great and the technique is exactly where you want it to be, because 225 moved, man. First time getting 2 plates back up over my head in a little bit, and it feels good. So, it's just getting used to this being my new standard, you know, which is a good thing. I feel way better this way. I'm not in pain anymore. I'm not scared of having to go heavy. I'm not worried about what it might do to me. I'm just having fun, you know? And part of the find out part of it, you know, that's really hard to get used to, is you're not going to know exactly when. But at some point, your joints, your main muscle groups, your technique, your core, your low back, everything's going to line up just perfectly. You're going to have that one exemplary day where you crush your expectations out of the water. And that's where you're going to be like, this is where I need to be. And today was my first step toward that, you know? I didn't get to, you know, what the long-term goal might be for that. You know, the ability to really, like, throw myself under the barbell without any concerns for my well-being in that moment, because I know that I have that chance available to myself. Because, dude, when I hit 245 for a triple for the first time, let me tell you, I was whipping under that barbell, but my shoulders were fully peaked. You know, bench was getting near 365 back then, so made sense that I could whip whatever I wanted and just kind of have slightly ugly technique, but have a strong overhead position, you know? But, again, I digress. What's great is that on top of not going too hard on my snatch today, just hard enough to where I know I put in that maximum effort without risking injury of myself, overhead squat and snatch pull are finally feeling like they're accessorizing the weights. You know, not just a matter of, oh, I just got to do this because it's in the program or whatever. It actually feels like my shoulders, my pull, my low back, my wrist, everything's getting stronger again. You know, I've actually been going a little bit lighter on the stretches on my wrist because I think they've been getting a little overworked when it comes to my warm-ups that you guys don't see. But I typically try to do a lot of work with my wrist so that they have full flexibility. But I'm at a point where mobility isn't an issue anymore. It's more the stability that I need to focus on. So I'm going to let it be. And it worked really well today. There's no wrist pain whatsoever. Because sometimes I'll have a little tweak every here and there that makes it feel like it's harder to turn over my hand when I whip under the snatch. It just felt great today. You know, the overhead squats, again, low expectations on that and them on the pulls, especially like last week, 255 for a set of 5, I nearly died. You know, I thought that I was going to be able to hit that for sets, and that's when I had that realization moment of like, got to slow down, got to go back to ground zero. Yet, blow myself out of the water after all the complaining I did and all the working back up, doing the conditioning, everything that I should have been doing in the first place, that I now am happy that I've got that experience and background, that baseline for. 285 for a triple on overhead squat does not even make sense to me still in this moment. Before doing that, I was struggling to hit 295 for a single a couple weeks ago, if not a month or two ago. That's crazy. I never thought that I'd be at this point right now compared to where my shoulders felt. And it's that's ability to stabilize my wrist, elbows, shoulders, along with holding my core as tight as I want it to, because now that the conditioning is there, I can hold my core as tight as I want without it breaking, because I'm going too hard every day doing my singles like I used to. And I can leave my core and my legs where they are supposed to be, because those are not going to be the limiting factors. The limiting factors are going to be my shoulders through my arms. And if I can hold that lockout position, I'm golden. And it felt so good. If overhead squat were its own strength lift, like a passion lift of mine, brother, I would have pushed 295 for a triple for sure. For sure. And that alone is a PR for me. I've never done that in my life. I've gotten close. I've hit 285 for a double a long time ago, And again, more recently, I attempted 295 for a double, couldn't do it. I've done 275 for a 3x4 a couple months ago, back when I was peaked again. So it's coming back quickly. That's my point. It's great. It's adding up so quickly that I am surprised myself. I tell people all the time, you have to give it that chance, that effort along the long term, instead of just what you want right now, in order to realize that you have a lot more ability to, fuck around and find out. But you've got to give it that solid base of the pyramid before you build up to the heavy stuff that your body's not ready for yet. Because even though 235 didn't go today, and I've been peaked to hit 255, 265 for a double before, doesn't mean I'm not still going to hit those kinds of weight next week. I have no idea how peaked I'm going to be after doing so well. Going from literally just doing warm-ups for a week, essentially, now jumping up a solid 10 to 15% in all of my weights. It's extraordinarily high in exponential growth. So I'm not going to rush it. Again, I'm going to probably add, once I get to that weight that I know I have, and I don't know if I should add weight or not, I'll start adding by 10 pounds instead of 20, like how I did with the overhead squat today, just to be safe, to have a really proper idea of where I'm at right now. But it's moving, dude. I might hit 315 on overhead squat next week. Because statistically, it's there. Again, it might not happen, especially with how hard I'm going to have to go on snatches to hit a top single. But you never know. I might just be at that point. Again, the snatch pulls, I went to 365 for a double today, which, again, about a 15% increase in weight, which is great. And even though that's stuff that I've easily hit in the past, man, it's the confidence through the pull that makes me so happy, because I struggled a little bit on some of the warm-ups because I had to rush through it really quickly. I got work really soon, and it was the ability to get myself from the ground, to my knees, that first pull, without letting my butt flare up and let my back lose the strength it needs to hold it in that position, and then pulling it upward as strongly as I wanted to with my shoulders and not just the momentum. And let me tell you, the straps were slipping, and I still held on to that shit. That's what feels so good. Not that I didn't hit a PR, or that I got close to a new weight or whatever, but that the technique, the confidence, and the consistency is actually holding through. So now that everything is building up and getting to a place where I actually want it to be, I can start to mess around a little bit more here and there until I hit that final peaked moment next week. It might not hit as I want it to. You never know when you're actually going to be fully peaked. It's random for the most part. You can just give yourself the best opportunity to get to that point. And so I truly believe I'm giving myself the best opportunity possible to get to that point. And next week, it's going to be crazy. Craziness. Physically, oh my God, 9.25. What a good day. Because again, I didn't even hit the craziest of weights, but I still broke my expectations. And that's the fucking goal. Not to hit a PR, not to base it off strength or numbers, but to come in, want something to go positively, and to just blow out that minimal want out of the water. I don't have high expectations, but I'm human. I'm going to have expectations to a point. I want to have good technique. I want to do good. I want to lift a certain amount of weight according to how I've been training, and I blew it out of the water today. And that is what I'm proud of. Mentally, 9.5 for sure. I feel great. I have no complaints. And it's the fact that I can do this. Someone really hyped me up today. Someone really touched on my ego today. They said some shit like, oh, dude, I can't believe that you can come in here and do this every day. Olympic lifting's so hard. And I'm like, brother, you don't even know the half of it. You don't even know the half of it. Because beyond what I have to do to get better in the sport, it's the fact of I do 12-hour night shifts with this shit. And I'm probably not going to do that too long in the future. I'm actually thinking of switching the day shift just so I can be healthier. But it's the fact that I can go do a 12-hour night shift, stay up all night long, work my ass off, go through college, do all this stuff, and just based off my passion alone, I can still fuck around and find out and have fun along the way. That's all it is, man. Just loving it as much as you can until you can sit there and be like, damn, I did it right. And not because I hit an expectation of someone else or a standard of the general population, but because I did it by my own means, by my own standards that I created from the ground up, you know? Not to divert from any social norm or whatever, but just to do it, just to have fun, just to give myself that deeper purpose, that want to come back. Woo! It gets me excited, man. I unfortunately have work in 10 minutes, so back we go again, but I'm grateful. You know, it's so endearing that I can come to the gym and do this and have such a positive personal lifestyle and then just be able to go straight to work hyped as hell. Because people are so confused. I get to work super hyped up and they're like, why are you excited to be here? I'm like, you don't understand the day I've had. You've never even heard of a snatch. And then I show everybody my weightlifting videos because it makes me feel very special about myself. Because, damn it, I worked hard for that. I'm going to show it off. All right, so anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. It'll be light clean and jerks mixed with heavy back squat, actually. So I'm excited to see where back squat's going to be because my core feels very, very primed. I think that I'll be able to put up at least 405 for a set of 3. Maybe more. Never know. Again, I say at least like it's an expectation. It might be less. I don't care either way. I'm going to give it my best effort, and I'm just excited. So I'm going to have my high hopes. I'm going to ride that high horse, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for hearing me yap. Let me know how your lives and lifts have been going. Love hearing about it, and I will be back tomorrow. Love you guys. See you later. Bye.